Let's talk about a 2-1 loss to the United States. Did you like the way they set up? I expected them to go a little bit of a stronger lineup because I thought he's got to come out and get a win here, but he didn't go with his strongest lineup. And I did like that Diego Luna started. I liked that. But other than that, I thought Pulisic on the right made no sense to me. I just did not understand what was going on. It seems like Pochettino doesn't know his best team. Tony Meola kept saying that down towards the end of the match. But overall, if you were to put player to player matched up against Canada, you would think on paper the United States have by far and away the better team. They should walk away with a 2-3-0 victory here. But they are outworked. They look like I hate to say it after the way Jesse March acted, outcoached as well.
I don't think you're outcoached.
Definitely outworked.
Outworked, yeah.
Outworked, for sure. 100%.
But I think there's several players on that team that should never be called in again. And I actually am confused on why they were even called in to begin with.
Give it to me. Who are they?
First thing, any MLS players. Sorry, I don't give a shit.
What about Diego Luna?
I'll give it to him.
Okay.
Maybe.
All right, we'll keep him
because
around.
he runs a lot.
Yeah.
But
he worked his butt off. I will say that.
Their ability to hold the ball on the technical basis is shocking, and I get it that your forward. I can't even pronounce that guy's name. Agiman. I get it. You ran out of options, and Sargent, for whatever reason, he can't seem to be effective for the U.S. men's national team.
It is bizarre that he can't.
I would never call him. He's done.
He goes back to England, plays for Norwich.
I get it. Yeah, you didn't have Bellingham, you didn't have Pefok, you didn't have Pepe. You didn't have the guys that you normally lean on to actually be up there. And I think that attacking threat was not there all day. Right back situation. Arfston never should play again. I thought he was awful. I thought he lost the ball constantly. I thought he was all over the place.
I was not a fan.
Not impressed with him at all.
Not a fan either.
He's not. He's not good enough.
Okay.
Sorry. He's not good enough at that level. Maybe for the other. And Turner, see ya.
Turner was bad.
If you don't have starting minutes as a goalkeeper at this point in juncture, it's like I'm done with it at this point.
And it showed on that goal in the Panama game, right?
Yeah.
I mean, they had no shots, and then his as he lines up literally next to the post and lets the ball in for a post. It was bad because he hasn't played enough minutes.
Honestly, I'd rather see Brad Guzan in there.
Oh my! I mean,
I'm dead serious.
Harkening back a couple of years, but
he's actively playing every week.
And still a great player, by the way.
Yeah.
Although that does counterpoint what you just said about MLS players not playing. Or did goalies not count?
Goalies.
You said I don't want to see any MLS players.
Field players, because
okay, gotcha.
You know what? If you can't string together passes and hold a ball and effectively be in the right position, then I don't know what you're doing.
Clarifying there, yes, thank you.
You got Richard, Cardozo, Pepe, Robinson, Aronson, Busso, Colwell, Zardeas, Trusty, Tillman, Morrison, Bellingham, leaving out Des, Maloney, Palmer Brown, Tolkien, and Booth. All guys I would have put better than those three players that I just called out.
Dest is coming back from injury, so is Balogun.
I understand. Stop.
Hold on. There were three players.
You're going to cut me off and then tell me to hold on?
There were just letting you know. There were
okay, hold on.
Hold on.
Arfston and two other guys were called in because Robinson and Trusty and another one could not come in.
Bailed
so that's
out.
Why there were three.
They bailed out on injuries.
That's the only reason why. They were not in the original 30.
All right, but I don't agree with him getting starts like that. Arfston, that was...
It was a third-place game. What do you want to do?
Win it? Beat Canada? I'd like to beat Canada. Would have liked to have beaten Canada. I don't want to wear a Canadian jersey.
So before I was cut off, I was well aware of the injury history of every one of the players. I'm just stating that they're better than those three. Period. Don't want to see them ever called in. Ever again. Unless you're that desperate. That must have been desperate. Those guys are trash.
They weren't good. They were not good. What do we think about the tactics? It looked like a 4-3-3, but that didn't line up well against a 4-4-2 where you were just being outworked. Does Pochettino, does he know his best players, or are you willing to give him this feeling out period where he has 5, 10, 15 games to bring these guys in and see what they do? Or is it, no, we need to win, especially against Panama and Canada?
What's he, 4-2?
Is he what?
Is he 4-2? 4 wins, 2 losses?
Something like that, yeah.
These are his first two. Well, he had the one loss against the Mexico in the friendly.
Okay,
yeah.
So that's 3.
4-3?
Yeah.
I mean, no offense, but and I'm not trying to. I get it. It's hindsight 2020. It sounds like I'm downplaying a Canada team. So you win 3rd place. Sweet.
But
what are we talking about here?
Are you wanting him to play these guys like Arfston to see what they're, or do you say no? We should win. We should absolutely win. No matter who we put on there, we should win anyway.
I just listed an army of over 11 players. About 11 players there that I would have called in, and I get some of them were injured and you
Sure.
couldn't call them in. Some were not injured.
Sure. All right, Brooks, give us your thoughts. What are your thoughts on the game? How did you think of it overall?
It was disheartening.
Yeah, for sure. I think that's a great word.
Listen, a lot of, listening to what Landon Donovan had to say, Tim Howard, Eric Winalda, all the former men's national team guys, Alexi Lawless, just talking about it and just reading their thoughts on social media and just kind of looking how the guys are playing. There's just no fight. And honestly, for me, it doesn't matter if you're European or domestic. It doesn't matter who they call in. They just need people that are going to fight and go out there and just battle for 90 minutes.
Yep. I agree.
That's the reality of it. And, I'm like Diego Luna, MLS guy. I think he was probably the best player in the field tonight, to be honest with you.
For the USA, at least.
For the USA, yes. For the USA, he was. And that's because he kept running everywhere. He kept defending. He he tracked back when he needed to, even when someone lost the ball and he went back and got it. And I mean, it's just, what are you going to do? If you don't have 23 guys that are going to come in and fight, and you only have of the 23, if only 5 or 6 are willing to do anything and willing to play 90 minutes and get stuck in and do something, what are you going to do? And the question is this really a golden generation? That's the thing. I'm not a believer just because you go play in Europe, it means you're a good player. A lot of guys get over to Europe because of their agents and the connections they have within clubs. And I don't believe always all the best players always play in Europe. It just happens,
I agree. I agree with you. Now, I'm not trying to counter-argue this in any way, but I agree with the fact that what's being said on social media by a lot of the pundits is we're not seeing a lot of fight. We're not seeing a lot of just effort put in. But also, I said it, in my opinion, I think Pochettino and his staff were a little bit outcoached. And here's how I'll give that to you. Mm-hmm. And obviously stats, you can read them anyway, right? Take any data points you want and you can tell a story out of it. But 60% ball possession for United States, obviously compared to 40. Total shots on goal, 9 for Canada, 5 for the USA. Total shots on target, 4 for Canada, 2 for the USA. Big chances created in the game, 3 for Canada, none. Not a single big chance created for the USA. They had 60% of the possession. They were down on shots on goal. They had no big chances compared to 3. Big chances missed, 2 and 0 for the USA, obviously. Passes completed, they were accurate. USA had 359 passes, 80% passing. Canada had 221 passes for 73. We committed more fouls than Canada. We had 18 fouls committed by us, 13 committed by Canada. And offsides, we were offside 4 times. They were offside twice. Corners were 3-3. In my opinion, Jesse Marsch and his staff set up very well for Pochettino and his team and created more big chances, had more shots. They gave up the possession, and they deserved the win. They overall deserved the win.
What is classified as a big chance? Because White had a shot right from 3 feet out and hit a bunch of players. That, to me, is a big chance. How can you say that's not a big
That's a great question, actually. I don't know.
But
it was clearly blocked, right? It was blocked by the defender.
Is that not a chance?
It was in the 6-yard lot.
The ball drops to a player who cranks one in and it ricochets off some players that happened to be in a better spot.
Agreed. Fully agree. That's Fatmob coming up with that. And I will say maybe a big chance is if he blows it over the bar, then you missed a big chance, right? Yeah. But if a defender steps in and blocks it.
To me, that's still a missed big chance. Anywho.
Agreed.
So everyone keeps saying the trope, this team doesn't have enough fight, blah, blah, blah. You just read off they had more fouls. To me, that doesn't show a team that's not fighting. I'm watching certain guys like Pulisic carry a Canadian player on his back for 5-10 yards as he's running. That shows fight to me. I'm seeing guys mix it in, push them around.
Sure.
That shows fight to me. That's not the issue.
So what's the issue then? Give it to me.
I just gave it to you. You had 3 guys out on the field that were worthless in my mind.
So
you're playing 3 men down.
Yeah.
I don't disagree with that. I mean, Pulisic is the one guy that I think is always in there doing something. Yeah. He is. There's no doubt about that. And when he's with AC Milan, he is the one star above and beyond, in my opinion, in Europe that produces week in and week out.
Listen, he is going to be the best American to ever play this sport by far. I mean, there's not going to be someone anywhere close anytime soon.
I cannot say the same for Weston McKennie. I cannot say the same for Tim Weah. And Tyler Adams is now getting back into form and playing well for Bournemouth. I think he is one of the guys that has definitely been good. It's just like I said, all these guys that play in these international clubs, what's it mean? Oh. What's it mean?
It means you're playing in the highest level there is.
Yeah, but if you can't bring it back to the national team and do anything, what are we talking about here?
Nate, you had to be at least a little happy we didn't see Tim Ream on the field.
I did like they start the two young center backs.
I would have rather seen Chris Richards out there.
I would have rather seen Chris Richards actually as well because he's the future of that spot, right? So why not just play him as much as we can to get to learn what he can do
I'd rather
as a
see
coaching
Trusty
staff?
out there with Richard.
Honestly, Richards to me wasn't very good in the first game.
In the
I
first
thought
game-
he was really nonchalant on the ball.
In the first game, I'll agree with you 100%, but I still think he's going to be it's his position. I think it's his for the.
And I think that's the
2026
issue,
World Cup.
is that these guys think they have the positions and it's locked down and they're untouchable, and that's the problem.
Possibly.
That's the problem, and that I thought Pochettino was going to maybe change that a bit. Maybe it is for Gold Cup. I don't know. Maybe it changes that way. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I know the only one player that fights all the time is Pulisic.
All right.
And sometimes he's on an island, and
All
I
right.
feel bad for him.
So question, boys. Where do we go from here? Because coming up this summer is the 2025 Gold Cup. It's June 14th through the July 6th. It's almost a month. That's a tournament. Are we expecting anything based on these results? Are we expecting to win it? Are we expecting to compete properly? Where do we go from here? Where does Pochettino go from here? Because not less than 10 days ago, he said, I can see the USA at some point winning the World Cup and being number one in the world. And based on these two performances, you got to go, nah, man, you're going to slide. You're actually going to drop in the rankings. And this is not good. Nate, I'm downtrodden just like you right now. It's like I was watching that game going, what the F is this? What is this, man? Like,
I'm
don't know.
pissed, but I still disagree that Christian Pulisic is the only guy who works hard. I'm sorry.
well, the Diego Luna worked hard in spots.
I think McKenzie works hard as well. I've seen him get pulled, prodded, and knocked around against Mexico. I've seen him getting, walk up and call guys out. I'd like to see Acosta back. Why not?
I mean, that's someone who works in the middle and puts his body on the line and does it, and he does the dirty little dark arts of the game, right?
I think the worst one they didn't give one call to was Aiden Morris this one. I think they could have used the guy that gave him
Yeah.
worse.
Aiden
Why
Morris
not?
should have been called in.
Why not bring him in? He's been playing really well for
I think
Middlesbrough. Why not?
I don't know, but I think Tanner Tessman's way overrated. I think he showed in that first game he couldn't complete passes when needed to.
I wasn't impressed.
Brian White wasn't anything there at the end.
I wasn't impressed.
I think if you gave Brian White 45 minutes, it would have been a different story.
I will say
he's scored a lot of goals in MLS, and I think he's a different type of player. I think he would have done better than Ajiman.
I think, and I agree with that. I think White did a lot. You saw the attack actually moving in the direction with his running and spacing in between the center backs, and it was starting to open things up a bit. Yeah. Surprisingly, I didn't think Gio Reyna did bad, to be honest with you.
He was all right.
He was all right. But it's it baffles me why certain guys are not being called in. Guys that are forced to work hard every week. I just don't understand. Like, why aren't you calling in Maloney, who flat out said, I'll buy my own plane ticket to come play?
That's a head scratcher to me, too.
Like, the guy obviously wants to be here.
Yep.
Right.
He make a difference in the midfield.
Plays in a decent league.
He plays in a good league.
Why
He's
not
playing for a top 4 team in a good league right now?
Why are we not bringing?
I don't know.
Why are we not bringing Limmer?
That's the things like I see and kind of gets frustrated to go, well, why aren't you calling this guy in? Like,
it's interesting.
What is going on?
We're less than 10 games into the Pochettino era, and we're already going. It seems very similar to the last coach. It seems very similar and eerily. We were very upbeat when he was hired. I'm not upbeat anymore.
I wasn't.
I just don't. You weren't. I'm gonna go back and watch the video. I thought you wanted it when he was hired. You're like, yeah, different, something
wanted
different
Thierry
outside of the
Henry.
New Jersey area,
I
right?
did.
You wanted what?
I wanted Thierry Henry.
Yeah, Thierry Henry's a big Panama fan.
Wait, hold on. They went up
They
to
went
him.
up to
He didn't
him
go up to them.
because he's his idol. Come on.
I know.
Waterman went up.
I'm just giving him it.
But listen, I don't think Pochettino joysticks them. He has a plan, he has an idea, but it's great. He asked Greg Berhalter, it's you got to be here, you got to do that, you got to do that. You have to play within what he wants you to do. That's why to me it's on the players. It's not Pochettino's fault.
But
It's the players' fault.
But
It's for not showing up and doing better.
there's one person who gets fired when the players do not show up and play, right? And I don't want to pick on a club, but we've seen it for 10 years. Manager after manager after manager, great players who haven't shown up, right?
I don't
You
think
can pick any club and
Pochettino's
that
that
happens.
coach, though. I mean, like, he got the guys at Tottenham fired up, and,
He
I
did
mean,
well. He did
he
well.
did
at
what he could
Southampton,
at-
He did well at Tottenham.
At Chelsea, he did
okay
what he
at
could do.
PSG, He did well.
you know?
He did well at Chelsea, but maybe he's just not. Him and his staff aren't relating right now to Pochettino. I'm not as upbeat as I was when he was hired. Right now, it's just we've had 2 losses against 2 very bad teams, in my opinion, who, by the way, lower in the standings in the FIFA overall world ranking standings. Way lower. Way lower. I would have loved to have played Mexico tonight. I would have loved to have been able to cancel our show tonight and go, hey, everybody, tune in and watch USA versus Mexico for the final. This is going to be fun. But now we're talking about we finished 4th out of 4?
You weren't going to cancel the show. Get out.
I mean, maybe not.
Here.
I love doing this.
What do you buy this? Do you buy this? The short turnaround for the players like Pulisic getting in late and not having a lot of time to work with the guys, and do you buy that? Does that factor in?
What do you mean? Like flying in from
Yes,
Europe?
because it's such a quick turnaround from when you play to when the games are that you don't have you don't have like a week to prepare for this.
Sure,
I mean,
I
it's
get
a day or two.
How is it different from Canada?
Yeah, I was going to say a lot of the other teams are dealing with the same stuff,
It's
man.
going to be my
It
argument.
is.
Yeah.
It's like
It is.
it's similar like when you blame the pitch, right? It's like,
Sure.
what was the other team playing on a different
Sure.
pitch than you?
Yeah.
You know what
No,
I mean?
you're
Like,
playing the same pitch
yeah,
for sure.
So it would say the same thing. Majority of those Canadian players were
Sure.
coming in from overseas as well.
A couple of them, play
There's
local, play MLS. A couple of them play overseas.
I looked at the roster. There's
Yes,
only 2 MLS players
Okay.
on the Canadian side. The rest of them are coming somewhere from Europe.
Yeah, there you go. Fair enough.
I
I think a lot of teams deal with this, and a lot of teams understand how to deal with it. They say, hey, take this drug on the plane and you'll sleep. You'll be fine.
Take a drug.
Take
It's
a
not the
drug.
sleep part. It's the jet lag and the transition of hours.
We got
Yeah.
drugs for that.
They know how to deal with that stuff. Or maybe they don't. I don't know. No, I don't. Don't get me wrong. I'm not going to say it doesn't affect them at all. But, both teams do have to deal with it. Yes, Nate.
You know what I'm also tired of?
Ooh, what are you tired of?
We have lost home field advantage.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
And-
Was there not more Canadians in California
No.
there today?
No,
It seemed like
no,
there
no,
was.
no. You brought it up in the beginning.
I did.
You're dropping 20, 30,000 people in a 70,000.
Oh yeah,
So how is a
in
player?
a football stadium, it's
So how-
ridiculous.
And I'm not trying to use excuses for these guys, but it's different energy when you walk into a 30,000 rocking person stadium.
Yep.
Columbus
versus
Crew Stadium, which
versus-
is pro-American stadium.
Drop a dime and you can't hear anything.
Both LA teams, they were away this week, both of them. You could have played at Dignity Health where the Galaxy
Yep.
play, or you could have played at BMO. And it would have looked better on TV.
Yep.
Now, we all know why it wasn't.
Of course.
Because Mexico is playing, and with every game that they play, and so the games are played back-to-back, right? So the first game on Thursday was USA versus Panama. The second game right after that was Canada versus Mexico. Now, USA versus Panama, there was less than 20,000 people there. For Mexico versus Canada, that place was jammed,
I'm sorry,
man.
who's running this?
I 100% agree with you.
Who's- is-
100% agree with you. Who's running it? It's in our country. Why are we doing this? Money, 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 money.
But that's the problem. The
money.
Federation is putting,
Agreed.
and that's got to be disheartening as a player.
Sure.
To go, wait a minute, we could have went to like Cincinnati. We could have went to Nashville. We could have went to Austin. We could have went to all these other nicer places that would have filled out, that have great soccer-specific pitches, that would have been a home field advantage type. I mean, I'm talking east. You go East Coast, middle of the state. You're more of a home field advantage than if you would have had to play Mexico in LA.
And honestly, it's a closer drive for all those different states for people to come in to watch, too. I mean, who's going to it's so expensive, California.
Agreed. Hey, I think it's a big failure by the entire U.S. Soccer Federation all the way around from top to bottom. Naming where we're playing, the coaching, the players, everything. Just one big show if we're being very honest.
Coach has no control of where they play. That's,
No.
that's on the US Federation.
You miss, I think, the entire thing from where we're playing to the players not playing good enough to the coaches picking some of the wrong players and not putting the right tactics in. I don't think a single thing in this little tournament went correct for us.
And I get it. You don't want to rely on it, but you know what? You get CONCACAF left and right all over the place.
Yeah.
And how many times have we had to play in really bad stadiums in Panama River? Why aren't we playing Panama in Kansas?
New England.
No, I think it was 38 degrees, 39 degrees in Cincinnati, right? Why aren't we playing in there where all our players being in Europe, playing outside, or weather adapted, to play those. Why? Why not?
I don't know.
Why not?
I don't know because
It's silly.
Because the United States Soccer Federation figured they can make some money out of going to SoFi in
Increase the
California.
price.
Well, the Nations League is a tournament, so they're obviously going to put it somewhere. I mean, I'm surprised they didn't put it on like Miami or Orlando or something.
But aren't we the hosts of this tournament? So don't we have the say?
You would think
I
so.
don't know if that works that way.
I don't know, but
I
either
don't
way,
know. You think it would?
Because when you're hosting a World Cup, you pick where the stadiums are.
Yeah. I wonder how long ago this was pre-planned too. It's always a year in advance for this.
Yeah,
but
I'm
again,
sure.
All right, boys, we're going to move on. But listen, I don't know where we go from here, but they're not getting back together for a little bit. Pochettino and his staff got to go away. They got to figure some things out. They've got to get the right players in there because, as you heard Nate say and Brooks say, that the right players are not there. The right players might be a little injured at the moment. Let's get them healthy. Let's get them back in. And let's have a better showing at the Gold Cup this summer, please, because
before we go, I'm going to ask you two a question because like I said, I've been watching what a lot of the former men's national team guys have been saying. Do you think those teams are much different from the current one? Do you see a big difference of anything?
What do you mean? The older generations,
Yeah.
the 90s and the 2000 teams, the U.S. men's national teams, are they different?
I mean, they've essentially beaten the same teams, and they've probably done the same exact thing as these last, obviously the last World Cup this group was in.
Here's where
are they that much better than actually what?
Here's where I say that the current team is a lot better than those older teams, right? Than those teams of the 90s or teams of the 2000s.
Yep.
How many players in those teams of the 90s and 2000s, how many of those players actually played in the top leagues in the world? The Premiership, La Liga, Serie A, Bundesliga. 1, 2, 3, maybe 5?
Maybe when you called in the team of the 23, they're probably like single digits, right?
Yeah,
Say
single
low-
digits.
yeah.
How many of those players in today's team, play in the top leagues in the world? Out of the 23 that were called in, 14, 15, 16?
Great, but that's my point right there, is that there's more playing overseas, and it's the same output.
It's the same output, but I don't...
In terms of wins and losses.
I don't see
In
this-
terms of wins and losses.
I don't
Technically,
see-
in IQ, better.
I don't
Yes.
see these soccer players who are technically better soccer players putting their bodies on the line,
Fair. Yes.
wearing their heart on their sleeve.
Yes.
They're coming in, trying to do a job, and then get back to their club.
Yes.
That's just my opinion. Nate?
So that's, I think, with all international football right now.
Yeah.
So
Sure.
number one, I don't think it's used specific. Number two is I think the older generation players are trying to so desperately stay relevant.
That's fair.
By saying that, because here's three. I think the region has gotten way better since they were playing. Way better. Canada invested
100%
15,
agree with that.
20 years ago into
Yes.
trying to build their soccer their
Yes.
soccer community and have done so.
Yep.
Panama's made improvements. Mexico actually has made improvements if you really look at it.
Sure.
A lot of the players, there's various players that are playing at very high levels.
And they're doing well. Like Jimenez is doing well
Yes.
for Fulham, and
Yes.
and
so
AC Milan.
I think it's a very much an apples to oranges comparison when you go, oh, we never lost to Canada.
Sure.
Okay, Canada
Wasn't as good.
They wasn't as good. They had they didn't have players playing professionally in Europe. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So the game's changed, which is good because with competition, you'll breed better output.
Yep.
And I think we are getting a benefit of that. And part of it, we are a victim of our own well-being in that MLS has helped and supported the rest of
CONCACAF. Yeah.
CONCACAF.
Sure.
More,
The Panamanians always anytime anyone does
Absolutely.
well in CONCACAF Champions League, it's an MLS team that calls them that
Yep.
brings them in.
And so they've been playing in better surroundings, more professional areas against better competition. So our domestic league has actually supported the other relevant leagues better than Lega
Our own domestics.
Yeah, and actually better than Lega Mexico because Lega Mexico usually is a very closed door thing.
It is. The only Mexicans usually play in Liga.
Exactly.
Yep.
So we're more open, and that's kind of hurt us at times.
Agreed. 100%.
Yeah.